Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Paperback Club podcast. My name is Aliyes Still. With me, as always, is Richard Knox and Brandon Malones. How we doing, guys?
No, good. So great.
Doing good.
Doing
wonderful.
Good. So, hopefully the audio sounds good for this episode. But today we are talking about our top 3 favorite movies of all time.
3.
Yep, 3.
I don't know how the sign language one was.
I think we agreed on 2 honorable mentions.
Yeah, so we're each going to have 3 perfect movies in our head.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully. Perfect. Movies that really just got to us, that really just something we really like, and then because 3 is a really low number, 2 honorable mentions each.
Yeah, we're trying to keep this episode a little shorter than our previous ones. I think when we get together, we kind of have a way of talking for a good amount of time, up to an hour. I think last time it was almost an hour and a half. We had to cut it.
We're like, look.
Yeah. So we're going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter for you all. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you're watching and or listening, thank you for the support. So let's get started. Do you guys want to start? Or I can start, or... All right. So, should we do all top 3 right now, or just one at a time? Probably one at a time.
One at a time. Talk about it a little bit. Why is it your favorite movie? Keep it, you know.
Okay, order or not?
Oh, start from your lowest. I don't want to start from the best one.
Yeah, start from the lowest.
And then since you started, we'll just go around.
Okay. So the third out of my top 3 is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Yeah. I have.
I don't know. Weird. Is the poster behind me?
Yes, correct.
Yeah, those watching probably won't be able to see it. But I have a movie poster about it. And I think... I mean, the movie is really good. I enjoy it because it has action, romance, music, which is a really good combination for these types of movies.
Mm-hmm. Good acting. Really good acting.
Also, I really like Michael Cera to begin with. But there's a bunch of other good names in there. Looking back at it now.
Oh, yeah, you have Chris Evans. It's Captain America.
Captain Marvel, what's her name?
Captain Marvel. She's the main person.
Allison Brie. Brie Allison?
I think it's Allison Brie.
Yeah. There was someone else he also...
The guy who did Superman was in it?
Yes.
In Superman Returns?
Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. He's also in the Heroes of Tomorrow or something? Legends of Tomorrow TV series.
Yeah, so that one was really good. I really enjoyed the movie, the comedy, the action, the romance, the music, the acting. But an emotional aspect for it, why it's like one that stuck with me, is actually my best friend David, who lives in California. He introduced me to it, and that was kind of like how we lived one summer, like just reference after reference after reference. Like,
I was about to say, day after day after day of watching it over and over again.
That too, right? So, he introduced that to me, and it just, stuck immediately. I'm not sure if there was another reason to it, but I just really enjoyed the movie, and I could watch it over and over and over and over and over again. And I think by now I'm almost positive I have at least 90, if not 100%, like lyrics and words to every order of the movie down.
That's pretty cool. I know for a lot of people who haven't been familiar with the movie, it can be a little crazy if you don't know what you're getting into. You're watching it and you're like, people are dropping from the ceiling, there's sword fights, he's over here shredding on the guitar, what's going on? But when I watched it, knowing that it was like a comic book first, definitely helped me get to be like, okay, this doesn't need to make sense.
Yeah.
Because there was things going on where I'm like...
And Michael Cera fits that role so well because he's such a cult classic actor at this point. Like all of his movies, if you love it, you love it. If you didn't see it, it's just one of those things. Like,
yeah, agreed.
I loved Scott Pilgrim. It was one of the better movies that he's done so far.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was action-packed.
Big time.
So my number 3... Look, this is the hardest list to make, right? So it was just like, what are your favorite movies, Brandon? I've referenced it 3 times on the podcast. My number 3 is Looper. Looper.
I love Bruce Willis.
Love Bruce Willis.
And I also love Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Love Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Yeah.
So I know the only big qualms that most people had with it was at the beginning of the movie, they had like prosthetics on Joseph Gordon-Levitt's face to try to make him look more like Bruce Willis. And then throughout the film, they kind of like ditch sticks. They're like, this looks bad.
Like halfway through, yeah.
Yeah. But other than that,
Well, I think the beginning of the movie, the need for the prosthetics at the beginning of the movie was there was no action when they met. I mean, there was a little action with the throwing of the bar, but what really they were trying to focus on at the beginning of the movie was, look, this is the same person.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the hardest thing. Have you seen Face Off?
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's like there's some years in between the two movies, but they're practically trying to portray the same thing, and I think that Looper did it hands down much better. Like, I mean, the scene where they captured my guy's future self and start carving into his body.
Yes.
Yeah,
and like giving him directions to where to go. There were just so many things in that movie, especially for the time frame that movie came out, that just made it.
2014.
It was like 2008.
Not even.
Yes.
Shit.
I would look it up, but
Yeah.
I'm on live right now. But yeah, no, it's an older movie.
Wow.
And
I want to say it came out when we were in high school.
yeah, and it's just it always has just, it's been one of those movies that every time I watch it I'm like, I didn't catch that. Like, oh man, what? Like, that's in the background, that's on the billboard. Like, I can rewatch it a million times. I love that movie.
Yeah, Looper's good. I like Looper.
What's coming on your last end?
So number 3 on my list is Tombstone.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm not a big Western guy. I don't watch a lot of Western films. I haven't watched a lot of Western films, but Kurt Russell destroys it in Tombstone.
Tombstone's good.
Val Kilmer.
It's easy to meme.
Oh,
it's a good movie.
They just have the sickest clapbacks. Kurt Russell slaps a guy and backhands him in the face. He's sitting there with like a busted lip and goes, "Are you gonna do something, or are you just gonna sit there and bleed?" What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not too seasoned on Tombstone. I eat the pizzas though.
Yeah, I eat the pizzas. Tombstone is a wonderful movie. There's a lot of actors in it. I think Michael Rooker's in it. He's not credited, I don't think. He plays Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy, but he's definitely in it. He's just like a main, or not a main actor, but someone smaller. But it's a wonderful spoiler. Hello, same person.
Yeah,
that's funny. But Tombstone for me is just, one, it's a classic. 2, it's star-studded. And 3, it's based off of something that really happened.
Yeah.
The OK Corral, the shootout, the OK Corral with the Earp family was real.
Well, it really
happened.
happened.
You can go to.
And it's a pretty crazy Google. If you have a chance to just lose yourself in Wikipedia, look into it.
Yes, Tombstone is a wonderful movie.
It's crazy what our country was founded and like what happened here. Like, I think we've talked about that before too.
Yeah,
it's just like
some
things.
Time travel
Yeah, like a lot of things we don't get taught, that it's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be taught. Like that just cancels that argument. Like, maybe we shouldn't teach that when we got here with Christopher Columbus that they were already at war with each other. No. But it's like, no, like things like this happened and people need to document it and it needs to be widespread.
Yeah,
like,
it should have been vlogging back then.
Right?
Yeah, right.
What was with them? Okay, so we're moving into
spot number 2.
2.
Right. Number 2.
Burger King flip now. Go ahead.
So for my number 2, it's pretty close because these two are like very important to me. But I'm gonna go ahead and say Wolf of Wall Street's number 2. Yeah, I love that movie. Again, star-studded, not action, but comedy's there.
There's action in that movie. There's suspense. Okay. There's an element of thrills.
Yeah, when I think action, I'm like comic book action, but no, definitely there's suspense, thrills. Margot Robbie. Oh, Margot Robbie.
Okay, camera cut.
Margot Robbie.
We gotta do our Margot Robbie seance. Sorry, quick.
I think that's the first time.
Good-looking lady.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, I can't.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that was the first time I ever saw her in a movie, and for that to be the first, pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, you got Caprio, Jonah Hill, Margot Robbie, tons more, but those are the main 3, right?
Tons more. We won't
tons more.
Tons more. They're there.
Tons more.
And I've always been fascinated with the stock market.
Yeah.
Trying to learn about it, because I mean, I've heard stories about people really making their living off of stock market.
Well, that was like the gold rush of the modern era. That was like this is a thing that's profitable.
Monetizable.
Yeah.
So I've always been interested in that, and then also I've been a fan of Leonardo DiCaprio and Jonah Hill for a long time.
Oh, for sure, dude.
Acting. So when I saw those two combined, I was like, this is gonna be pretty good.
Yeah.
But I mean,
especially because before that movie, I think they were like almost like polar opposites with the types of films they would do. So to see that
Jonah Hill's more comedy.
Yeah, and to see them in a movie together, it's like, okay, this mashup just seems perfect. Right. To have some great, and then it ended up being great, and it was Jonah Hill was doing a more serious role as well, where it wasn't just comedy for him.
Right.
This is
he's
an actor.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
And hands down, Revenant was everything that it was, and it was beautiful, and it won an Oscar, but Wolf on Wall Street deserved it. Hands down. I don't even know what it went up against that year, right?
Yeah,
I tend to not really follow the Oscars like that.
Yeah, only like who the announcer wins and stuff. But
boy, Wolf on Wall Street was so good.
Yeah, and like I think we discussed it before we started recording, but like with this top 3 list, it's not just like the movies that I think are like the best, hands down, like no question. It's like these are the movies I could watch over and over.
Right, because then the list would just be like Shawshank Redemption.
We'd be looking at the ticket sales.
Right, exactly. These are just things that are personal to us.
And it's very opinion.
Avatar and Endgame, and there's a movie in India that got big. So
one of Indian guys made a movie.
So yeah, this list is more so movies we can watch over and over and over again, and like learn every word to the movie, every song,
which is a good segue to my number 2, because speaking of learn every word, I don't think that is necessarily the most important aspect to a movie, because I am not Hispanic yet. My number 2 movie is Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Man,
is really
have you seen Pan's Labyrinth?
No,
it's all in Spanish.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, man!
Toro, right?
Oh, it's a masterpiece. I'm getting chills right now, dude.
Very good.
Oh, it's like think of the Grimm's fairy tales, but then think before they were like, because all of these fairy tales come from cultures, and all of these cultures have their own stories and their own monsters and their own. So this is like I feel that this is the most authentic movie that I have seen. Like, this meant something to the people who made it. This meant something to the people who were in it. Mm-hmm. They were telling something that is classic, like just, oh man.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been to a theater and watched a movie in a foreign language reading subtitles other than Pan's Labyrinth. I went and saw that in theaters, and it was so crazy reading subtitles for the entire film. Sometimes, like in sci-fi films, they'll have like an alien talking and subtitles there, but it really didn't ruin the movie at all.
Yeah.
It made it so much better. And I think it took place in like the 50s or something.
It took place around like a World War II era, like right afterwards, where there's like guerrilla troops that are like trying to free, and then it's man, it is an adult fairy tale that you have to watch.
Yeah, it's good.
It's just so good.
I think I might have
the CGI is amazing for the time. The costumes are like it's just scene for scene. You're like lost. Like you're like, where am I?
Yeah, I know at the beginning of this recording I was like, I have my list, but as soon as they say theirs, I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I wish that was on my list.
I was telling people at work about it, and they were like naming movies, like, no.
That's good too. I think you saw My Hero Academia in theaters though.
I did see My Hero Academia in theaters, and not only did I see it in theaters, I saw it in Japanese.
Yeah,
because like there was only so many theaters playing these types of movies, right? Because it's not big for everyone.
Where'd you go?
Actually, we went to Bluffton. Really? Ironically enough, I saw another anime movie with Jamie, and we had to go to a whole other town, like 2 hours away to see it. But she really wanted to see it, and I really wanted to see it. So I was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So, but this one we went to actually, I think we were in Savannah when we saw it. I'm pretty sure we were in Savannah because they have 2 movie theaters there.
If not 3.
Maybe 3, but I'm pretty sure we were in Savannah. But all the English were like sold out. But I watched My Hero in Japanese also, so I was like, yeah, this is fine. I'll watch it in Japanese, and it ended up being great. My biggest qualms between the English and the Japanese versions was in the Japanese versions, one of the characters says shit in English at one point, and in the English version, I think he says crap. And I'm like, no, in Japanese, the only one English word you hear is he's just like, shit. Like in this Japanese accent. It was hilarious. But my number 2 movie is actually a third movie, which is Star Wars 3. I can watch.
Ooh, that's on your top 3.
That's on my top because I was a kid when it came out. And
you're gonna have a lot of defending to do about this being in your number 2 position. Look, I love 3 just as much as the next guy. But you got to defend it being on your number 2.
Star Wars 3 is my number 2 movie. One, because I grew up watching Star Wars. Obviously, 5, 6, and 7. 4, 5, and 6 came out way before I was born. So I was used to seeing that. So when 1, 2, and 3 were coming out in theaters, it was like my generation's turn to actually experience what the later generations had already. And I mean like 2 generations before us having this in theaters. So us growing up seeing Star Wars again after seeing the old ones. And then 3 being the climax of it all. Not only it being the climax where you're seeing, okay, this is where the next one's going to lead off into that we've already seen. The choreography.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
choreography. Do you know how much time Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor spent learning how to literally duel? A long time. They learned how to fight with plastic lightsabers, but they still learned all these moves. The action scenes were great. The emotion was great. And literally, my favorite part about it all is Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan wasn't my favorite person in the Star Wars, like, canology until number 3. Number 3 happened, I said, hands down.
Yeah.
He looks awesome. He's... all the emotion, like, a lot of people give Hayden Christensen a lot of crap because he seemed like real whiny. I think that was more of like how they wrote the character.
it's almost like they didn't watch 4, 5, and 6 and see how whiny Luke was. It's like, golly, guys,
it's exactly
be
like
consistent if you're gonna.
So, you know, take him aside. Ewan McGregor's like acting in it, where he's being emotional because this person he knew as a kid grew up and is now literally destroying everything that they built. His emotions was wonderful, and hands down number 2 because of Ewan McGregor's acting.
Yeah, no.
His acting.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not worth being a number 2 movie. I think the episode 3 is like fantastic, but I think the build up from 1 and 2 makes it that. Like a standalone film, okay, cool. But like, if you didn't have number 1 with Anakin, you know, relying on a Padawan. I'm not a Padawan. Obi-Wan wasn't a Jedi Master in 1. He was still being trained by,
Yeah, and that's correct as too. It wouldn't be what it was without the other ones. But for me, thinking,
for sure.
I could watch episode 3, and I can totally skip over episode 2.
Yo, for sure.
I can watch episode 1 and go straight to episode 3. But episode 3 for me, I can watch over and over and over and over again.
I feel that.
Just because I love Obi-Wan in it. I love Ewan McGregor's acting in it. I love the fight scenes that they did in it. It's just...
And if anybody wants to at me at this, Star Wars has consistently had the best soundtracks of any movie that has ever been released of all time.
Yeah, that orchestrated work.
You can at me at that. Yeah, like there's nobody that's better than John Williams and his amazing talents. Okay, number 1.
Number 1 movies.
Ooh, that was fast. All right.
Yeah,
I'm ready because we haven't seen any of each other's lists. We haven't talked about this before the podcast. We didn't. This is just we're figuring it out now.
So we're talking about this. Now write your list. All right. Number 1 for me is going to be the first Avengers.
Classic, great,
phenomenal,
wonderful.
Don't get me wrong. The others are good too, especially like Endgame. Holy wow, phenomenal. I mean, if you've never been to a Marvel, I'm sure it might be similar with other franchises, maybe Star Wars, maybe others.
No, Marvel's big, man.
Did we see Endgame together?
I think we saw it together maybe your second time.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm sure you can, relate to this, though. If you see a Marvel movie in theaters, like midnight, really, or at least opening night with a bunch of other fans who are eager to see this, the emotion in that room is more authentic than I've ever felt in any other experience in my life.
Oh, yeah, I feel that.
Like, you get excited about Captain America picking up Mjolnir, the entire theater loses their fucking shit.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like, everyone's screaming at the same time. They're yelling. They're, like, crying. They're, like, oh, like, in Infinity War, when everyone kept disappearing, like, the entire theater, every time someone disappeared, they said, right?
Right, and it just got progressively worse. Oh, no.
Right, and then just, the ending, they're like, as soon as, like, the screen cut black on Infinity War, everyone's like, no! Right? But, I mean, Marvel theatrical events are pretty phenomenal.
Avengers also being the first movie where they brought everyone together, it was so awesome at the time because they had been building up. This was the climax of their first build-up of like, hey, we're getting all these characters in, we're showing you what they're about, making their own stories, and then mashing it all together.
See, as an outsider who didn't get into the Marvel Universe, I see it as like, they released all the solo movies, right? And that was like your like minor little holidays where you get like days off of work. Mm-hmm. But it's like once every 2 years you get like Mega Christmas. And it's
Christmas.
And it's like an Avengers movie. And it's like, that's pretty cool. And I hate that they're trying to do that with Star Wars because I wish they would just keep it episodic and not do the solo stuff. Yeah. But I see how the solo stuff would help the franchise in general because I would say more people are invested in Marvel than in any other movie franchise I definitely think Marvel's bigger than Harry Potter. I know that's like a sin to say.
No,
I
think so.
I definitely do as
love the
well.
Harry Potter
Yeah, I do
films,
too.
and I'm
Harry Potter's
surprised I
great.
didn't put any of the Harry Potters on my top.
I mean, if we were doing
but
best books, I probably would be like
I've watched all the Harry Potter movies in a marathon multiple times.
Right,
so
and I mean,
wonderful.
like even more than Lord of the Rings at this point. Like, and Lord of the Rings is huge. Star Wars is kind of like a thing where it's like you don't know where the fan base even stands anymore.
Yeah, it's very split. I mean, I could talk about Marvel and Avengers as an entire episode myself.
Yeah.
Maybe even more than one episode.
This is episode 9 of our Marvel Avengers.
There are some
series.
YouTube channels that's all they talk about every episode. So, it's definitely
it's interesting.
doable.
It's, especially because it comes from comics, now it's a movie or whatever.
I'm surprised I didn't put any of the Marvel films in my top 3. I love them all. I had them all on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
They're wonderful.
Well, again, I think like we could probably do a 2-hour podcast on movies.
Yeah.
I think this was just like
but
what
in my
3
head,
movies.
when I'm thinking of impactful into my life,
And again, I think the whole
they
thing,
are impactful, very emotional, but
I was thinking also the theme of you can watch it over and over and over again without getting bored. Or some movies I can.
I
really
did that
get
with
through
Guardians. I can't watch Guardians anymore.
Yeah.
Of the Galaxy for people. Whatever.
Yeah, I think I saw Infinity War in theaters 4 times and Endgame in theaters 3 times.
Wow.
See, I did that with the first installment of the 7th Harry Potter movie.
Oh yeah,
I saw that.
I saw the first half of that movie in theaters like 6 or 7 times. Like a couple at the drive-in, a couple in Bluffton. Like I loved that movie. It was so good.
My mom says The Lord of the Rings is his own category. I can't believe I didn't pick any of the
No, I mean, I completely agree with that, Miss Maria. My daughter, I had a very little problems naming my daughter Arwen. When my daughter's mom was like, "Look, I know this might sound silly," and I was like, "No, my daughter will be Arwen." Like it was like because I had just finished really as an adult paying attention and following Lord of the Rings. It's been some of those movies that older people might be watching in the room, or because I mean it came out with us. The first one was out in like 99, 98. Yeah.
I remember seeing them all.
It was just very hard to watch when I was a kid because I wanted Will Smith and Martin Lawrence blowing up a yacht, getting the bad guys.
Yeah. What's your number one film?
All right, I like stories, man. I just really like stories. Fargo. By Joel and Ethan Coen, the Coen brothers. There was an adaptation on Hulu. I think there's 2 or 3 seasons of that. Fargo's easily just the best story in that I like true crime. Yeah. Have you seen Fargo?
I'm trying to think. What was the movie with...
Spoiler alert, real quick, guys.
Yeah, spoiler for this whole episode.
This whole episode. If you haven't seen these movies, you now know about them, and you can go watch them. Man, Fargo is fantastic.
I'm trying to think. Is that the one where it's like in Alaska or something?
They're in Minnesota, right? Fargo or North Dakota.
Okay. There was another movie with... Okay, who just played Batman before?
Yeah, you're thinking about the Gray.
Ben Affleck? Christian Bale.
No, not Gray. Ben Affleck. He was in a movie where he there's hostages in Syria or something.
Oh yeah, no. I do remember that. That's why I kept getting confused too. Because
you're thinking of Argo. Argo is about. I think it wasn't Argo about the Munich thing that happened at the Olympics, he was like the hostage negotiator. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, I want to say he was a reporter. I thought and went in and saved them all.
He was a.
I missed the Ben Affleck movies.
I think he was
man.
one, but he pretended to be the other.
Yeah.
But Fargo.
So okay, yes, all right. It's like a movie where you don't necessarily know who the movie is about until the movie is almost over, right? There's so many arcs. Okay. Yeah. No, there's so many arcs in the movie that you're never bored, right? And it's not one of those things where it's like scene change. Oh, what's going on in this scene? It's like no, it's like extremely linear. And there's twists literally every 20-30 minutes.
Now, this is the movie.
This is the movie, okay. Yeah. And I don't want to give too much away because it's like one of those movies that you start talking about it and the whole magic is gone,
okay, yeah.
Right? But it has some incredible talent. Right, 2 of the best storytellers of my Hail Caesar is a new one that he did. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? No Country for Old Men. Okay, this man, these men just know how to get you engaged through dialogue. And if you're not okay with watching a movie and it not being lightsabers or tanks and then maybe it's not for you, this genre, but at the same time it's who hasn't Deuce Bigalow, European Gigolo, The Big Lebowski,
yeah,
also great.
Yeah, man, it's just and it's what that movie, The Big Lebowski, could have made my number 1. Really, anything that they have made, No Country for Old Men could have made my number 1. These are all movies that when I don't have anything to watch on Netflix, boom, I already know what's up. I mean, they're always, it's like one of my honorable mentions, which we'll get to after Richard's number one, but he's just like one of these guys, or two of these guys, they just know how to write stories. And it's like, I could ramble and talk about them for days. They're my men crush. Everything they touch is gold. I love it. What is it?
My number one movie right now, and probably for the past couple of years, I've had that I just keep watching over. I'm cleaning the house, I'll put it on. I'm playing a game, I want something in the background, I'll put it on. I'm just bored, I'll put it on and watch it again over and over again.
Yeah, I'm like, I feel like I should know it by now. I spend enough time with
guess,
you.
Right?
Yeah, right?
Should we guess? Or just tell us?
I want to guess.
Guess.
Okay,
you're guessing first. You're guessing first.
I'm trying to think of the name.
Do you have a physical copy of this?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. But
that narrows it down a lot for me.
But I've said it like literally 4 times today. What it was.
Okay.
I wasn't listening. Okay, I'm just gonna guess. God, I cannot think of it.
Want a hint?
Tombstone was 3. Number 2 was Star Wars.
I mean, you probably won't guess it.
Just what is it?
Okay, yeah.
Gangs of New York.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I did say that 4 times.
Okay, cool.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, Liam Neeson's in the first scene, Cameron Diaz.
Yeah,
wonderful movie.
It's on my watch list.
Yeah, wonderful. It takes place during the Civil War, and it's in New York in Little 5 Points. So 5 Points. Well, maybe it's not Little 5 Points. I think it's just called 5 Points. And maybe Atlanta is where I'm thinking it's called Little 5 Points. But 5 Points in New York was where all 5 of the boroughs met together in one area. So that's why they called it 5 Points. And basically, a giant gang war is happening in this city before it's a city, right? So Leonardo DiCaprio's in it. He's the main person in it. He's basically trying to get revenge for his dad's death at the hands of the guy who won this gang war when he was a kid. He comes back and is secretly espionaging his way into the top of the gang to basically kill this gang leader that killed his dad. But just that time period is really good. I think Leo's acting great. Daniel Day-Lewis is a wonderful actor, and I hope to God it's Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah. And I'm just saying that actor's name, and it's not him. Pretty sure it's him. But I've seen it maybe 24 times already. Yeah. And I'll watch it again. I'll watch it right now if you want to put it on.
He does watch that a lot.
I was going to guess Jay and Silent Bob.
Oof.
Oh, no.
What a good movie, though.
Not that I don't like Kevin Smith or his whole universe of movies, because I love all of them, but that couldn't be my number one.
Yeah, okay.
So you got some honorable mentions?
Yeah, quick fire, so we got about 5 minutes. So I'll just say them both so it goes a little faster. So my 2 honorable mentions is Inception, which is
wonderful movie.
Phenomenal, just boom. And this other one that I've only seen it one time, but when I saw it, I don't think I've ever been more engaged in a movie. Like, I had no idea where it was going, called Searching.
Searching? What's that about? I don't know about that one.
So it's this it's a single father and his daughter. So his daughter is about 16 years old, and she gets lost or goes missing, and he's in pursuit of finding her. But the movie's played out basically from the front screen of a camera, like on a phone or a computer,
like the Blair Witch.
Yeah. So he's like going on her Facebook, looking at all the messages and seeing, hey, who did she message, trying to figure out where she went, and like suspends the thrill of it. Like, I had no idea where they were going with it.
So it's like Blair Witch meets Taken.
Social media too.
Oh, social media.
Yeah, because it's like he goes.
It's like a POV and more like a POV and not like a camera angle.
Yeah,
it's like
imagine you're the NSA.
Okay, so like Doom with The Rock.
Yeah, kind of.
So yeah, that one, like, I watched it at the drive-in with Marley, and she fell asleep. I forgot the first movie we watched, but it was the second one. I was like, I don't want to watch that. Not even 10 minutes into it, I was hooked the entire movie. I was like, holy shit, this is like the best movie.
I'll have to check that out.
What's gonna happen next?
It was so good.
Yeah.
Like, if you haven't seen Searching, I highly recommend it. Came out in 2016. Phenomenal. Those are my 2.
My honorable mentions are going to be a movie called SLC Punk.
Oh, wow.
It's a really good movie about these guys who lived the punk rock life, 80s. Really good story about their life, their friends, and what it kind of was to be punk, and how it turns out, how you turn out when you grow up. It's a pretty cool cool movie.
Has Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yeah,
has also in 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, it has a whole bunch of actors that at the top of my head I wouldn't be able to name, but it's a super good movie and it has a really good like message to it. SLC Punk, check that out.
So what was your second honorable mention?
Honorable mention number 2 after SLC Punk was anything that Quentin Tarantino puts his motherfucking hands on. That's my one F word for this podcast.
I will second that one.
Yeah, let's just more specifically, Inglourious Bastards, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs. Reservoir Dogs is the number 1 Quentin Tarantino movie. It is better than Kill Bill. It is better than Pulp Fiction. At me, at Brandon Malonis, I will tell you differently. Go ahead, Richard. Reservoir Dogs.
What he said, Quentin Tarantino is the man. All of his movies wonderful. My 2 honorable mentions are going to be 1, The Matrix. I really want that to be in my top 3 because I love all of The Matrix. I can't wait for The Matrix 4 to drop. I love Keanu Reeves. He's like my favorite actor. So
John Wick didn't make our list. Nobody's list.
And, and the thing about these lists is they can change.
They can
change. As right now, in this moment in my life, those are my top 3.
Yeah.
But The Matrix, honorable mention, revolutionary for its time, great action, great acting, wonderful. And number 2 is Endgame.
Yeah.
Marvel's Endgame. It was the climax of, what was it?
20 years.
Not a damn 20 years.
It was like 20. I think it was 10,
22
like 11 years.
films, 11 years.
Yeah, over the course of 11 years building this up. And I'm not a crier. I don't cry a lot.
I think I've cried at maybe 2 movies.
I cry at every fucking movie. No. Oh, that's 2 F words.
I had 2 tears go down my face.
Man.
Spoiler alert, Iron Man died. Tears. Spoiler alert. Before that one, when everyone came out, and old boy said on your left and all the rings start opening. Tear.
Yeah.
You want to hear some real stuff? Have you guys ever seen a movie called Fahrenheit? Not Fahrenheit. It's like Ladder 47.
Oh, Ladder 47.
With John Travolta and Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
You've seen it. And like the whole perspective of the movie is John Travolta is talking to Joaquin Phoenix on the radio. Joaquin Phoenix is trapped in a burning building and they're trying to send people to save him. But John Travolta's on that radio trying to calm him down the whole movie. So it's like the perspective of the movie is it's being narrated. They're just talking back and forth and memories will appear and you'll see the memories like in the movie or whatever. I had to leave the theater, dude. When they had the line of fire trucks and Joaquin Phoenix's casket and John Travolta's like, boy, I was with a girl or something. And I like left the theater like, hold on, I gotta go take a shit or something.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't cry at movies. Really cry at anything, rarely, unless it's like that good.
Yeah, you cut off your finger and you didn't cry.
No, fuck that. But no, I agree with you. Endgame was phenomenal. I don't think I've ever been more excited for a movie than I was for Endgame. And yeah, I think Iron Man, that was just super emotional. You know, super tough.
Yeah, man, Iron Man was my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Solid.
I need a swear jar apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
Thank God I'm moving.
Okay, everybody, we're going to cut the podcast off at this moment. Thank you for joining us. We're going to keep on the live feed, though, so don't exit out just yet, because we're going to love to have a conversation with you all about it for the next hour or so. But thank you for joining us today. We're the Paperback Club. I'm Richard Knox. We got Elias Dell and Brandon Malonis with us. If you like the video, just give us a like and a comment on YouTube. Underneath us, we're going to have all of our handles for social media and our Patreon right below. Please share with your friends. We'd love to hear from you and get some feedback. Is there anything else you guys want to plug in real quick?
You should peel bananas from the bottom. It's way more efficient.
Follow me on Instagram, Elias Dell Photography.
Everything changes.